Today on the Eat to Live podcast.
Go to Target, go to Costco, go to, Walmart. Do not buy those supplements.
So there are certain ingredients that you absolutely should get from food and should not be supplemented. So you said each individual ones are studied.
Sure. And the pictures are complicated. You can't have some philosophical bent and decision that all supplements are good, all supplements are bad.
I take that with a grain of salt because the FDA approves millions of drugs that are awful for you. Hey, Dad, and Eat to Live listeners. We are doing a supplements podcast, but we are not talking about good supplements. No. We're talking about the dark side of the supplement industry. So we're going to get into ingredients that are not favorable and what is in some of our products that are very common among shelves.
Yeah, I think that I've talked about this in the past, but I think that we do have to devote a podcast just to the subject because it's such an important subject that people really have to understand thoroughly.
Yeah. So to kick things off, which I didn't even know because you've been making supplements for the majority of my life, what are some unsavory ingredients in supplements, like in mainstream supplements that are on Amazon that tons of people are buying with artificial flavors or ingredients?
Well, I think some of the most harmful part of the supplement industry is the dyes and that they're using to color the pills. And they use red dyes and blue dyes and things like make them colorful. And they're using artificial dyes and flavor and colorings, which is really harmful. And plus the fact that they use titanium dioxide to make things white. And they also sometimes have harmful fillers, but they often don't even contain what is said to be contained on the label. So when they're missing what's contained in the label, because when we take DNA analysis from independent labs of exactly what's in the supplement as to what's claimed in the supplement, particularly lots of herbal products like St. John's wort, we find that in the majority of cases, there's not anywhere near that amount of substance contained there. And sometimes there's some harmful things in there that shouldn't be there that are not on the label too.
Really?
Yeah, even like sawdust or dirt.
Really?
Yeah.
You see this term all over, no fillers, no synthetic ingredients. What are fillers? What does that look like?
Well, it just means that the active ingredient doesn't fill up the capsule. So they put other things in there.
Oh.
To make up space in the capsule.
Oh, no way. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So you always say food first. You always say it starts with diet. But do you feel like people should also be skeptical? I mean, there are people that are skeptical that all supplements are bad. What would you say to them? Do you think all supplements are bad?
I think that's a message that some people have they teach that get your supplements through food and don't take supplements. And I think that's a very incorrect message. I think people it causes a tremendous amount of bias the other direction. So yes, food gives us the things we need with a full complement of other accessory factors that help us get the most benefit from most substances like carotenoids, beta-carotene. Beta-carotene, for example, is one of 100 different types of carotenoids that we're best getting from food. When you take just one substance called beta-carotene and you're taking that without the other things that come along with it, it could then be something that blocks the uptake because you're taking one thing of the other full carotenoid spectrum, or it could have other negative effects. Taking something in isolation is usually not favorable. But the person explaining that, to use that to say in a blanket form that supplements are bad and we should get what we need from food, that also is incorrect. Just because you're still not looking at evidence. Yes, with regard to beta-carotene, it's advisable to get it from food, not from supplements. But that's for beta-carotene. That doesn't mean everything. If we're going to say that, what about vitamin E? What about vitamin C? What about vitamin K? You can't just take what's the study on beta-carotene and extrapolate that to every other potential supplement. Mm-hmm. We have to look at each supplement individually and in an unbiased fashion, look at all the evidence, all the studies and all the evidence that's out there, and put the evidence together to come to a conclusion. A good example would be zinc supplementation. is it better to get zinc supplements from food or from supplements? Well, I don't know the answer to that question.
I don't know.
I know that you get more zinc from eating oysters and scallops and red meat than you do from eating beans and greens, even though they have some zinc in them. I can try to eat more beans and more greens to get more high zinc, more pumpkin seeds, to get more natural zinc from my diet. But I know that the phytates in plant foods reduce zinc and exposure to about half what you get in the food. And we know that zinc supplementation, zinc absorption goes down with aging. And we know that giving zinc supplements to people, let's say to people, reduces risk of prostate cancer by 74%.
Wow.
74% reduction of prostate cancer.
Wow.
When you give zinc supplements to elderly, people who are still eating meat, it reduces risk of pneumonia death by about 50%. So we're seeing, so when we look at all the studies on zinc, is it beneficial for a vegan to take some zinc, especially as they age? And the answer is the evidence indicates that, if you look at all the evidence. So we're not going to use the evidence on beta-carotene and vitamin E being bad or not being good to then justify people shouldn't take any supplements at all. Mm-hmm. You know, that's just, so the answer is that we have to have a look at the whole picture. And the pictures are complicated. You can't have some philosophical bent and decision that all supplements are good, all supplements are bad. We have to say, well, in most cases, we're going to try to get our supplements from food. But you could get your zinc, instead of taking a supplement, you could just eat more oysters or more red meat. But the problem with that, which is going to lead to a better outcome. And right now, we know that oysters and scallops and high zinc-containing animal products are contaminated and shorten lifespan or increase neurologic disease from their high intake of BMAA and plastics and nanoparticles and other toxins. So we're trying to get but in any case, these are complicated questions, and you need somebody who wants to investigate and weigh the choices here. And the choice here for my people that I advise is to don't rely on to get all your zinc from your diet.
Yeah.
Take a little extra, and we'll get half of it from our diet, and we'll take a little extra so we don't have to rely on seafood to get all our seafood or red meat to get our zinc.
Because seafood's the catch-22. You don't want to take something that gets your zinc up but then harms your diet in other ways.
Right.
Or
what if there were studies that showed that if we took an extract from, let's say resveratrol from grapes, now the studies on that are not solid. We don't really know if taking resveratrol supplements really extends lifespan or not. And I'm just not recommending it. But let's say if the studies were overwhelmingly positive and they weren't vague and hard to decide. With all these studies, and we looked at all the data and all the studies on resveratrol, if they all were strongly positive, we shouldn't use a philosophical objection to using it. Just eat the grapes. No, the studies show in higher amounts taking this extract from grapes has dramatic protection against cancer, and we probably should be beneficial to take it. I have no objection to using supplements when the evidence overwhelmingly shows there's benefits from them. Mm-hmm. You can't just use a philosophy and based on them come to a conclusion all supplements are bad. You know,
yeah,
and I think that happens to be the case with taking a little turmeric or curcumin or EGCG. So some of these things we're saying are overwhelmingly beneficial to use some of that in our food or to take a supplement with that, for example. So we have to take every decision individually and a comprehensive look at the literature that supports it or doesn't support it.
So you just mentioned EGCG, which comes from green tea, or turmeric, which you could sprinkle on your food. But in a supplement form, you're thinking there are certain antioxidants that could be really beneficial to the diet as well.
Well, I'm not a person who always uses seaweed, and I don't salt my food. So my food could be deficient in iodine. If I'm usually eating seaweed or seafood, I don't need to use iodine. So, but we want to at least meet the RDI for iodine, pay attention to what's lacking in our diet for sure. Mm-hmm. You know, but with regard to EGCG or curcumin from turmeric, those things, yeah, if I'm using a lot of turmeric and I liked it on my food, but if I don't like to use a lot of turmeric in my food, I want to make sure I take a little bit. I'm not a person who's drinking green tea all day long either. I'm not a tea drinker, but I want to take a little bit of green tea as a supplement because there's so much studies showing a benefit from a little bit of EGCG from green tea. So you don't need, so take a little bit of extra things that we're not utilizing regularly in our diet makes sense.
Right. That does make sense.
Yeah.
And then So there are certain ingredients that you absolutely should get from food and should not be supplemented. So you said
Yes.
each individual ones are studied, but what are some of those ingredients? Because I know you are a very strong advocate at avoiding certain ones in supplement form.
Yes. There's two main supplemental ingredients I want people to avoid. And that means because they're avoiding taking folic acid and avoiding vitamin A, that means they should not be taking the general supplements available in the supermarket. Go to Target, go to Costco, go to Walmart. Do not buy those supplements because they contain vitamin A and folic acid. And don't use So we're talking here. Number one, the studies on folic acid. One 10-year study on women taking a multivitamin with folic acid increased risk of breast cancer by 29%. One 6-year study of women taking a folic acid supplement increased risk of cancer by 43%.
Really?
Yeah, so we're talking here that folic acid is not the same compound as folate found in natural foods. The word folate comes from the Latin word for foliage, coming from green vegetables, and we're getting tons of folate in greens and beans, and our nutritarian diet makes it so if we blood test for folate, we have levels that are outside of the normal range being so high. We get tons of folate, so we don't need to take folate. Now, folic acid is different. It's a synthetic compound. It's not found in nature. It's to duplicate like folate, but it hangs out in the blood. The body can't excrete the excess. It penetrates cells when the cell doesn't even need it. And it can cause damage to the cell, enhancing cellular replication, which means allowing a cell that's prone to cancer to manifest cancer more readily. And folic acid is what the American health authorities advocate that pregnant women take to prevent neural tube defects. Mm-hmm. So now we have a population advocating taking a supplement to the whole population by the medical profession and the health authorities to prevent neural tube defects, birth defects, by taking substance that we know increases risk of breast cancer and prostate cancer. It doesn't just increase of cancer in the mother taking the supplement, it increases risk of cancer in the child whose mothers took the supplement too. Mm-hmm. So we're promoting cancer to reduce neural tube defects. And why are we taking a synthetic, like a medication now? It's not like real folate. Everybody has to take a medication as if nature's screwed up. We can't. No, it's that these people are not eating enough vegetables, green vegetables. If they were eating green vegetables, they wouldn't take folic acid. So instead of telling women of childbearing ages to get enough folate by eating enough vegetables, we give them, because we can't do that. We can't tell people they have to eat healthier. We can't tell people to eat less calories, to lose weight and get fitter. We have to just tell them to take pills.
Got to make life really hard for some people where they have to read between the lines. But I think the pregnancy and folic acid thing is so interesting, because if there was a marketing campaign that just said pregnancy, eat your beans, eat your greens, and they said it from the rooftops like they talk about folic acid, we'd have such a healthier population. I mean, even these supplement companies, as I research and vet a lot for my job, get to me a little bit, because now even premium supplement companies are putting methylfolate or folate instead of folic acid. And so I even said to you the other day, as I'm thinking about having kids, Dad, am I getting enough folate? Like everyone and their mom is putting folate in our, and you said, Jen, there's just no way you're not getting enough folate in your diet.
The pediatricians in the hospitals give the children that are born a vitamin K shot to prevent hemorrhaging of the blood because the mothers don't eat vegetables to get vitamin K. It's like...
And they don't give you the why behind it. They don't give you...
They just assume that all Americans, because all Americans don't eat enough vegetables, and all Americans need to take folic acid, and all Americans need to take vitamin K shots in the babies. We got to take medications because people don't eat vegetables. And I think the only one I've heard speaking about this, saying that this viewpoint of turning vitamin K and folate into medicines is a contributor to acute lymphoblastic leukemia or acute lymphocytic leukemia in children, which is the leading cause of cancer in young children and toddlers, right? So I'm saying that this is complicated, right?
Okay, I'm listening.
I'm saying that the green vegetables in the diet would not only have supplied the folate, but it would have prevented cancer in the child that's going to be born. So the higher green vegetable would not only have prevented neural tube defects and heart defects, what the folic acid doesn't prevent. It would prevent more birth defects, but it would also protect the child against cancer. So we missed an opportunity to recommend to women eat vegetables instead of taking a folic acid pill, because now we could have knocked down childhood cancer from women eating vegetables during the pregnancy and prior to conception.
I know you have. Oh,
one more thing is that if we could have advocated that women eat vegetables, because we advocated they take folic acid, they know we've got a message out there. Why couldn't we get the message out there eating vegetables? Why couldn't we advocate the dangers of eating processed meats and luncheon meats and bacon and bologna and hot dogs even 2 years prior to conception, and that relationship with child cancer or birth defects or autism? We could tremendously change the health of our country and tremendously change childhood defects and childhood cancers. We can have a tremendous saving people's lives if we could advocate and advertise and market to women, don't eat processed meats and eat more green vegetables. But that message is not politically acceptable. So instead, we just continue along giving them folic acid pills and watching pregnant women eat hot dogs. It's creating cancer and brain tumors for their kids. This is just it, right? It's ridiculously infuriating, and I'm the only person talking about this topic.
Well, it's really sad too, because you can't sell it. You can't sell don't eat bologna and eat green vegetables. I mean, but eating vegetables will give jobs to farmers and help create a better planet.
Right.
So
you can't sell it. No politician's going to sell it. It's not going to be a big message. But the medical profession is able to sell taking folic acid pills.
No, it's so true. But like then supplement companies make money. Everyone's making money. And it's not even like you say for pregnant people or women in general, don't take a smart multivitamin, because you do say it makes sense with the right ingredients. But you are the only one that doesn't include folate or folic acid in your prenatal. And so like explaining that, although it takes more of an explanation, it's just so powerful, and people need to start encouraging each other, women in general, but if you're of childbearing age or want to have children, to eat your vegetables. I mean, that message of like an apple a day keeps the doctor away is just not that loud.
Right.
It should be louder.
Just think about this. When you get your folate from vegetables, then you're getting a lot of 1,000 other nutrients along with the folate that protect you against cancer and your child against cancer and a child against birth defects and other childhood cancers and autism, because the health of your child in their young life is related to not just what you ate during your pregnancy, but what you ate even years prior to your pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
So we're saying stop the bad diet, even when you think about getting pregnant. But you've got it. But in any case.
Well, can I just say it doesn't even stop with pregnancy, because if you start to pay attention about folic acid, which we don't want in anything, is you'll start to notice they put it in cereal, bread, nutritional yeast.
Right.
What is this doing with folic acid? Why is this in here?
Yeah, they put folic acid all over the place, right?
I have no idea why. B12. Why are you in here?
What are you doing in there? Because they're assuming people, because that's the nature of our society, where we're assuming women are deficient in these, and we got to sprinkle folic acid everywhere because people don't eat green vegetables.
I feel like it kind of all started in World War II, where people were looking to get really quick convenience packaged foods and rise to the fast food industry, and then everyone was becoming really deficient in everything because they weren't eating their.
And they were studying these. They studied vitamins and minerals and learning their effects. And we started to, drink Tang and Kool-Aid with added nutrients in it, and Cocoa Puffs,
and salt and sugar. Yeah. Where did I get that information from you? From Fast Food Genocide?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, funny. I'm telling you. Okay. So, you mentioned some ingredients not to take, but also some ingredients to take, like EGCD, turmeric, mushrooms. With everything, is there an upper limit? Is there mega doses? Because we live in a society and culture that's very like more is better. Like I want a good bang for my buck. Give me a lot of it. And I feel like that's not the point.
That's correct. That sometimes a small amount is good to take some, but to take too much is also not good. There's a sweet spot, and people could utilize that to distort the dangers or the benefits of a supplement. Because they could say, look, that's not good to take. Dr. Fuhrman says you should take that. But look, here's a study that shows that you take it, it's bad for you. Well, that's because people took too much of it. Mm-hmm. And there's, just like we could say that with omega-3s. Too much omega-3s could thin the blood, increase risk of atrial fibrillation. But too little could also increase risk of atrial fibrillation. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about being in most supplements, taking too much could not be healthy. Too much vitamin, whatever you're taking. And with regard to this idea of taking some people needing to take that methyl tetrahydrofolate.
Yeah.
Right.
Methylfolate. then yeah.
It's methyl tetrahydrofolate. Whatever. It's a methylated folate, true.
Yeah.
It's safer than the folic acid, of course. It's a better choice, but still better not to have that if you don't need it. But some people need it. And those are people who have a methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase deficiency. It's a polymorphism that means they're defect in a gene that converts folate converts folate from food into the usable form in the body, right? And that's identifiable to a person who's got a problem, and it only is they need to take that supplement when the disease is homozygous, which means that you have two bad genes. You have one gene from your mother, one gene from your father. When both genes are bad, then you have to take extra methyl tetrahydrofolate. If one gene is bad, that's your heterozygous, you don't need to take anything. And so that means you can check your homocysteine. Now, your homocysteine is a lab test, a blood test, that elevates with B12 deficiency or with folate deficiency, but it'll also elevate if you have a deficiency of this gene, the methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase gene on both sides. If you have two bad genes, it'll elevate. And those people, to lower their homocysteine, has to take extra folate.
Right. Okay.
So there's always some exceptions, but that's rare.
It's not the majority. It's not. Chances are it's not you.
It's like 1 in 1,000 people.
Yeah. Do you want to say that for us 3 times fast? Methyl tetrahydrofolate.
Reductase. No.
I'll save you.
Okay.
So would you say testing is necessary for everyone? Because it's really, you always talk about this in art, a science. It sounds like there's a lot of optimal ranges. You don't want to be too high. You don't want to be too low. What are the tests people should take, and do you recommend them for everyone?
Well, I do want people to follow their omega-3 index because it so correlates with neurologic health in later life. To have just like the salt intake your whole life, we want to have an optimal omega-3 index for the majority of your life to protect your brain health with aging. So that's something you should follow every 5 years or so and adjust your supplement accordingly.
Just like one test every 5 years.
Yeah, same thing with B12, because there's a chance that as we get older, like at 70, I'm 71, but as you get to be 75, 80, 85, 90.
You look really good, by the way.
Thank you. You look good too.
Thank you.
Okay. As we get older, the chance of developing, you need more B12 or more, might pay to just check that what we're taking is enough. But and again, you can check your homocysteine, because if I wasn't getting enough B12, my homocysteine would start to go up.
What about women and iron, or men too? That's
a great question, because we're finding that people have such a varying ability of absorbing iron. And healthy people too, that some people taking iron is bad for them because their level of iron in their body they have plenty of it, and more would be bad for them. And they have some people just don't absorb iron well, and they need to take iron. Because I'm a doctor, I'm seeing women who are eating healthfully and women who are not eating healthfully. And regardless of whether they're eating healthfully or not, some of these women need iron to take iron, because low levels of iron, and iron is best measured by a blood test called ferritin. So the ferritin represents the body's stores of iron. And your ferritin can be low even if your hemoglobin and hematocrit are you're not anemic yet. You can still have low ferritin, and it's still the low ferritin represented low iron stores is interfering with good health. Now, we know that taking too much iron is not good for people, and it causes harm. So we only want to give people iron supplements when their ferritin is low.
So it sounds like in certain cases, testing is great just to check in that you know how your body's operating and you're taking the right supplements for you.
I think episodically checking a woman's ferritin, at least occasionally, let's say every 10 years, making sure she's not deficient, seems reasonable too. And also the fact that, let me tell you something about iron replacement therapy, is you can use a regular iron supplement, and maybe that's going to help your ferritin, your iron stores go up, but maybe it won't, because when you take iron, you only absorb a little tiny bit at a time. And because you absorb such a small amount at a time, you got to take it very frequently. You take too much at once, you're not going to absorb well anyway. Plus, it's going to cause constipation and digestive upset. So you might as well just take a small dose, because you only absorb a little bit anyway, and take it more frequently. Now, there are some women who, even if they're taking iron supplements frequently, they still can't get their iron up. Should they take, IV iron? No. But so then those people need a heme iron. And we're saying one of the risk factors, one of the negatives of red meat is it contains a lot of heme iron, which builds up your iron. It builds up your iron too high, and a high extra iron is an oxidant. But that doesn't mean there aren't some rare individuals that we find that need the heme iron.
From red meat?
Well, they can just take the heme iron in a supplement.
Oh.
You know? You don't have to eat the red meat to get the heme iron.
Yeah.
But I've seen some women whose iron you can't get up, particularly have some things wrong with them where they're not absorbing iron well.
Right.
Where we have to give them heme iron to get their levels up.
Heme iron. So it's different than just other supplemental iron.
Yeah, because the heme iron is more absorbable, but also more dangerous if you were taking it and you didn't need it. You know
would
what I mean?
you tell those patients to just eat red meat, or would you say it's best to supplement? Well, I guess the red meat could elevate their saturated fat and...
Yeah, there's other problems with red meat, so I'd probably just recommend they take the heme iron.
Got it. Okay, cool.
So occasionally I'm taking them kind of like off a vegan solution onto a meat-based solution because the heme iron is derived from an animal product, but this person required it.
Right, so you're saying the heme iron is still derived from animal products, so it wouldn't actually be vegan.
Correct.
But in certain cases, you would recommend it for health.
We have to do it for a person who needs it.
Yeah.
Which is not common, but it happens.
Right. So that's why it is important to check. When's the last time you checked your B12? Do you actually check that?
Yikes.
Curious.
I don't think I've checked it in the last 10 years or so.
Okay.
But I've checked my omega-3 index.
Yeah.
That I've checked because I know I'm
taking... How is
it? The first time I checked it, it wasn't ideal. I had to up my dose a little bit.
Right. Mm-hmm. So what was it, like a 4? It
was like a 4.8 or something.
Yeah. So you want above 6.
I wanted to be above 6 because I used to think that above 4 was good enough when I was younger.
Right.
Because most vegans were about 65% of vegans did not have levels above 4. So I thought above 4 would be good. But now I realized above 6 is all these studies that come out. Above 6, you get better neurologic outcome in later life. So now now I know that 85%, 90% of vegans are too low, not just 66%.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then I was too low, even though my level was pretty good, you know.
Yeah. So on the topic of omega-3s, we talk about it a lot, but you can choose either fish oil or algae oil, or the vegan form algae oil. Is fish oil from fish on the dark side of supplements, or is it kosher? I'll say.
Well, it's certainly better not to have to eat fish.
Do you think the algae oil is cleaner
than a purified fish oil? Probably. But I think the major factor is the rancidity in both oils. So I've seen over my career that a lot of fish oils get rotten and they taste rancid, and algae oils also get rotten. And because the fish oils are purified and the algae oils are made in like a clean, sterile laboratory, there's not a lot of natural pollutants maybe in some cheap fish oils, yes. But the more expensive, high-grade fish oils that are highly purified, there's not a lot of external pollutants in them. So now what's the pollutant in the algae oil? It's not the algae, it's not the fish. It's the fact that this oil sat at room temperature for a year. Mm-hmm. And became rancid and has bitterness to it. And it's not healthy to take rancid oils. Right. Rancid oil are not good for your health.
Right.
So I'm saying it's better not to take fish oil or algae oil if they're rotten. Take them.
Which you can't tell if they're rotten in a capsule. Not a capsule, a soft gel.
Right. They're in a soft gel. Right. And people are taking them and swallowing them and they're not tasting them.
Right.
If they don't,
and they're usually not refrigerated.
Right. And so they have a bitter aftertaste. Mm-hmm. If they bit into it, and they taste a bitter aftertaste, that's rancid.
Yeah, and that's not healthy. Rancid oils are not healthy.
Right, rancid oils are not healthy. So there is a downside, a dark side to fish oil and algae oil, to be aware how fresh the oil you're using is. Now, obviously, this is self-serving because we produce it, because I purposely manufacture an algae-based DHA EPA on purpose to keep it refrigerated so it stays fresh. That's why I started getting into it. That's why I did it. Because I couldn't find enough low rancid oils when I was testing them all.
And let me tell you, I've experienced this where I've left your DHA in my fridge for way too long. You think it's in the fridge. And I'm like, Dad, it tastes really bad. You're like, throw it out. And I opened a new one and I'm like, oh, that's how it's supposed to taste. I forgot over the course, the shelf life that I've had it, how it was supposed to taste.
You left it out of the refrigerator for months.
If it really grosses you out, throw it out. That's not right.
That rhymes. If it grosses you out, throw it out.
It's true.
Yes, that's right. It has to taste clean and fresh.
Yeah.
So
it should gross you out.
And that may even, that could put a negative spin on some people who are taking fish oils and taking rotten oil and maybe, not seeing the positive effect of taking a fresh oil.
Like the studies you're saying can actually show bad effects if they're studying people that are taking
I haven't seen that.
Oh, you haven't?
But I'm saying I'm concerned because we know when you eat any kind of oil that's rancid, it's very bad for your health.
Right. So you want to make sure they're getting fresh and pure.
Yeah.
Clean, not rancid. This is a hot trending topic in terms of supplements. Weight loss supplements are very new to the scene. Have you had patients take any of those? What are your thoughts?
Okay. It's pretty simple. Either it doesn't work, that's a placebo effect, and in those cases, it's usually not harmful.
Okay. Got it.
Or it works and it's toxic or dangerous. Because if it works to take away your appetite, it's a stimulant. And stimulants, which like caffeine and some of these natural things that make our body stimulants like that.
And it kind of is just suppressing appetite. Is that kind of how it works?
Well, it could suppress appetite, but it also, stimulants do suppress appetite, like nicotine and caffeine and cocaine, you know what I mean? But yeah, so my message is that there's a lot of natural toxins in the natural world. And herbal medicine is based on finding those poisons in the natural world and seeing their toxic effect on the body to make you speed up your heart, slow down your heart, make you urinate more, make you urinate less, put you to sleep, wake you up. If something has pharmacologic efficacy, then it is toxic. All drugs are toxic. In medical school, we learned that the first week in medical school, they work because they're poisons. And the herbs that work medicinally are poisons. We're looking to live in a manner to avoid the need for medicinal substances. So if you took a weight loss product that worked, it would be bad for you. Right?
When you say, some people say like goji berries are medicinal though. If you take a therapeutic level of goji berry, I don't even know. Mushrooms, like we're taking them medicinally in a supplement, right? But that's not bad?
No, it doesn't do anything medicinal.
Right. Oh, you're not considering that medicinal.
It didn't change your pulse. It didn't kill a urinary tract infection. It didn't, put you to sleep. It didn't suddenly give you a surge of energy. If you take mushrooms or broccoli or it does nothing to the body. You don't feel any change. If it stopped your headache and made you feel so much better, it probably is toxic. Don't take things that do something to your body. And also the benefits you get from weight loss supplements or weight loss drugs even is so minimal compared to what if you just ate healthy?
And the risk.
And to take those risks of to try to think. So it's the mentality, it's the mindset of Americans where everything is a pill solution and they're always looking for a remedy rather than changing their own life.
Right.
It's always better to change your life and don't look for a pill, don't look for magic.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I saw this study that said roughly 23,000 ER visits a year are tied to supplements, with weight loss and energy products leading the list. Which you're saying, they're leading the list. They're acting as toxins.
And sometimes they actually take a supplement they advertise as a natural product and they put drugs in there to make it more effective. And they call it natural. They do that with something,
So we could call out too that the FDA does not need to approve supplements like they do drugs.
Right.
However, I take that with a grain of salt because the FDA approves millions of drugs that are awful for you. So what are they really doing
with
for
red
us?
dye number 2, with all kinds of titanium dioxide. Let anything go by.
I know. So we have to be our own.
Yeah, we can't result in the government to do anything for us.
Especially with health, like make America healthy again. It's not good enough. So you have to be your own health advocate for sure.
Yeah, you have to know a lot, and you really need leadership and guidance, and it's hard for people because there's so much misinformation out there.
Right.
And that's why we do this podcast to try to reduce the amount of misinformation.
Absolutely.
In this field.
So if someone, this is my last question, someone has a conservative amount of money to spend each month on supplements or on their health, where do you think they should allocate that budget to?
Well, given the fact that they're eating a healthy plant-based diet, right?
Because if not, you should put it towards the food.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Then the most important supplemental ingredients that you need to take would be zinc, iodine, B12, and DHA EPA. Those would be the most 4.
So you want them to fill nutrient gaps.
To fill the nutrient gaps of things that are not contained in their plant-based diet and in ideal amounts.
Right. Or even animal limiting diet, right? Like if you're even a small amount of animal products, do you still recommend these?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So even over the mushrooms.
Because we're taking away the salt, we're not getting the iodine. We're taking away the animal products, not getting the B12. We're having a lot of vegetables, which phytates, which bind zinc, and we not eating the seafood to get the DHA EPA. So to make sure.
You studied these ingredients, I could trust you?
I've spent my life studying this, coming to the nutritarian diet with the conservative use of supplements to maximize human lifespan and produce neurological health span to keep your healthy life and brain in your later years. Right.
Let me tell you, I hope it works.
Me too.
All right. Great episode. Thanks for joining me.
Good work.
Pound it.